We've been digging through D.R. Horton's latest earnings call, America's largest home builder, and CEO Paul Romanowski revealed something that completely changes everything we thought we knew about this housing market. The words that should terrify every American. This is how the collapse starts. But he wasn't talking about what you think. Here's what's keeping us up at night. While everyone's watching for a 2008-style price crash, there's a hidden mechanism that's already triggered, and it's going to paralyze the entire housing market in a way we've never seen before. But before you panic, we found something buried in their financial data that reveals exactly how to position yourself to not just survive this collapse, but potentially profit from it. The numbers we're about to show you prove the Homebuilder CEO was absolutely right. This is how the collapse starts, but it's not starting the way anyone expects. Here's what's really happening and why everything you think you know about this market is wrong. If you're a home buyer waiting for prices to crash, you're missing the real story unfolding right now. If you're a seller hoping to time the market perfectly, the window you're waiting for might never come. And if you're an investor or renter, the data we're about to walk you through changes everything about your strategy for the next 12 months. Moody's Analytics chief economist Mark Zandi just escalated his warning from a yellow flare to a red flare for housing. His exact words: home sales, home building, and even house prices are set to slump unless mortgage rates decline materially from their current near 7% soon. Here's the smoking gun everyone's missing. 38% of builders cut prices in July, up from just 29% in April. But prices aren't collapsing, they're going sideways, and that creates the most dangerous scenario for everyone involved. Let us walk you through exactly what's happening with numbers that'll shock you. But first, let me resolve what the CEO actually revealed. During D.R. Horton's earnings call, CEO Paul Romanowski made a chilling confession. The incentives are up, as we've spoken to. That's why we guided to a little lower gross margin into the fourth quarter. In plain English, America's largest home builder just admitted they're bleeding money trying to attract buyers. They're cutting their own profits just to move houses. When the biggest player admits defeat, you know we're in uncharted territory. Housing starts and permits are already at recession levels, while completed units from home builders continue increasing. Translation: builders are finishing homes they can't sell while refusing to start new ones. D.R. Horton's quarterly revenue dropped 3.2% to $9.7 billion, with full-year revenue down 6.9% to $34.25 billion. But here's the kicker: their closings fell only 1% to 23,368 homes. They're selling almost the same number of houses for dramatically less profit. Current mortgage rates are crushing demand at multiple levels. The total median cost of homeownership now approaches $4,000 a month when you include the $21,400 annual additional costs, up 18% from just 1 year ago. Compare that to renting a typical single-family home at $2,296 a month, over 40% less than owning. And here's where it gets interesting. Over 80% of homeowners are out of the money, meaning their existing mortgages are at least 100 basis points below current rates, creating a lock-in effect that suppresses supply. Now, let me address the elephant in the room. You're probably thinking, won't prices just crash like 2008? This is where everyone gets it completely wrong, and here's that hidden trigger I promised you. The hidden trigger that's about to seize up the housing market isn't falling demand. It's the golden handcuffs effect. Listen to this. Over 80% of homeowners are out of the money, meaning their existing mortgages are at least 100 basis points below current rates. These people literally can't afford to sell their homes because they'd lose their ultra-low interest rates. This creates a supply freeze that prevents the normal market correction mechanism from working. Trump is already blaming home builders for artificially keeping prices high by sitting on empty lots. And you know what? The home builders are pushing back hard. But here's why prices won't collapse the way you think. A study from the National Association of Home Builders found that nearly 25% of the price of a typical newly built single-family home is due to regulations imposed by state, local, and federal governments. If land use regulations were relaxed, an extra 2.5 million housing units would likely be added over the next decade, eliminating about 2/3 of the estimated housing shortage. Trump's 10% tariff on lumber imports will add $720 to the cost of an average home, while tariffs on kitchen cabinets and vanities will lift costs by roughly $280. All told, Tariffs are adding about $8,900 to the cost of building an average home. The Fed has repeatedly overlooked this red flag in previous cycles. When housing permits and housing starts decline together, residential workers often lose their jobs at some point in the future, typically before the economy enters a recession. Please take 2 seconds to help me out and hit the like and subscribe if you find this video interesting so far. Each like, subscribe, and share helps support this channel and keeps us motivated to keep making you great content. Thank you. Now, let's continue. All right, here's where we deliver on that promise about the hidden opportunity that could save you thousands. Remember how I said D.R. Horton's margins are getting crushed by incentives? Here's your opportunity. Builders are so desperate to move inventory that they're offering rate buydowns, closing cost assistance, and price cuts like we haven't seen since 2008. But unlike 2008, they're doing it from a position of financial strength, not desperation. This means the deals are real, sustainable, and available right now, but only while they're trying to clear inventory before the next building season. Now, let me walk you through exactly what this means for your specific situation. If you're looking to buy, listen, we've been watching this market for years, and we've never seen builders this willing to negotiate. D.R. Horton's CEO flat out admitted that this year's spring selling season started slower than expected, as potential home buyers have been more cautious due to continued affordability constraints and declining consumer confidence. Translation: they need you more than you need them right now. Current advantage? Inventory is building up, giving you negotiation power you haven't had in years. But here's the critical window. Once builders stop offering these incentives, you'll be paying full price plus higher rates. If you're thinking about selling, we need to be straight with you. Your window is narrowing every quarter. When Moody's chief economist warns that home builders are giving up on rate buydowns because it's simply too expensive, and many builders are delaying their land purchases, that tells you the spring selling season everyone was counting on isn't coming. The hard truth? If you've been thinking about moving, you need to act now or plan to wait 18 plus months for better conditions. The market isn't going to get easier for sellers anytime soon. If you're an investor, here's what the smart money is doing: focusing on cash flow over appreciation. When construction slows down, that means fewer new rentals hitting the market, which means rent pressure persists even if home prices flatten. And here's an angle most investors are missing. Smaller builders that grew 25% annually in recent years are now vulnerable to cost overruns and delayed projects due to labor shortages and material price volatility. This creates opportunities for larger, cash-heavy investors to pick up distressed projects. If you're currently renting, we've got mixed news for you. The good news: more inventory is slowly coming online. The challenging news: there's a 12 to 18-month lag before rent relief actually hits your wallet. While single-family home ownership costs are approaching $4,000 monthly, renting the same property averages $2,296. That's a 40% savings right now. Our advice? Stay patient. Start negotiating with your current landlord, but don't expect dramatic rent drops until late 2026. And here's where it gets really interesting again. The national averages everyone talks about, they're hiding the real story. Let me break down exactly where the opportunities and dangers are concentrated, because your zip code determines everything. If you're in Texas or Florida, you're actually in a pretty good spot. These Sunbelt states have been home to America's largest home building companies, and here's what we're seeing. Steady construction over recent years has kept home prices more reasonable. In some Texas and Florida cities, prices are actually dropping. Why? Texas doesn't have statewide zoning laws, which makes building new homes much faster. Translation: more supply, better prices for you. We've been telling people for months the Midwest and Northeast are offering the best relative safety right now. More moderate price growth, stable demographics, and none of the wild speculation we've seen elsewhere. But if you're in Phoenix or Dallas, listen carefully. These were the hotspot growth markets everyone was talking about. But we're projecting they could see appreciation rates drop below 2% in 2025 because of inventory gluts. That's not necessarily bad if you're buying, but if you're sitting on property hoping for continued appreciation, you need to adjust your expectations. Here's what the data shows us. Construction of single-family homes dropped in April. Every single indicator for new homes, permits, starts, completions, down compared to last year. When we see builders pulling back this aggressively, it tells us they know something the general public doesn't yet. Look, after spending weeks diving into these earnings reports and market data, here's our bottom line. The real collapse isn't happening in home prices. It's happening in buyer confidence and builder margins. And honestly, that creates exactly the conditions smart buyers, sellers, and investors can exploit. Let me be completely direct about what we would do if we were in your shoes. If you're looking to buy, stop waiting for rates to magically drop to 4%. Lock in those rate buy-down deals with builders right now while they're bleeding money trying to move inventory. We've never seen builders this motivated to deal. If you're thinking about selling, every quarter you wait, your leverage decreases. Don't chase perfect conditions that may never come. The market is telling you to move now. If you're investing, forget about property appreciation for the next 2 years. Focus entirely on cash flow. With construction slowing down, rental supply stays tight. That's your opportunity. If you're renting, be patient, but start negotiating. The rent relief is coming, but it's going to take 12 to 18 months to really hit. Here's what we need from you. We want to know what you're seeing in your local market. Are builders in your area offering more incentives? Are sellers getting desperate? Are you seeking price cuts that aren't showing up in the national data yet? Drop a comment and tell us your zip code and what you're witnessing firsthand. Your real-world observations help us and everyone watching make better decisions. This channel works because we're building a network of people actually tracking what's happening on the ground. Subscribe if you want us to keep digging into the data the mainstream financial media won't touch. Next week, we're going to show you the specific zip codes where we're seeing the first signs of real buyer favorable conditions. Trust us, you don't want to miss that analysis. The housing market is experiencing structural paralysis, not a crash. And for those who understand the difference, that's where the opportunity lies. If you found this video interesting, please subscribe, share, and watch this one as well.